Okay, let's pretend that I'm really good at time management and the fact that this video is not late and has come out in a perfectly reasonable amount of time. Frankly, you all like great book recommendations, so enjoy this list that I have put together for you.
You know, one of my favorite things to do is recommend amazing books to you guys, which is why I love doing these top 10 lists every quarter. So, before we get into this, please do me a favor, like this video and subscribe to the channel as it does help the channel grow. You can check the description box down below for links to all my social media, including links to the Patreon if you want to help the channel grow and kind of keep these lights on and help pay for edits, book hauls, equipment upgrades. It's all there. Your support is always greatly appreciated. Or if you just want to hang out and kind of talk books, we've got the Discord link there as well. That out of the way, let's jump into this Q4 top 10 list. And we've got two that I don't own physically yet. Because one doesn't come out till May of 2025, but I got to read it in Q4, and it was fantastic. That is J.A.J. Mitten's Discovery. Now, this is John from Talking Story, his wife Amy, and his son Jacob. They are a writing team, a family writing author, co-author thing, and this is cosmic horror done incredibly well. It's post-apocalyptic, it's found footage, it's everything that I didn't know I wanted, and it's just absolutely fantastic. It's set in the 90s, it's got some, what I'm going to call basically Cthulhu mythos type of deal, and it's just all of these multiple POVs told in certain chunks, and as the story kind of progresses, it weaves through these storylines, and it just explodes by the end, and it's amazing. I cannot wait for you guys to get this into your hands. I will, of course, be talking about this book more and more and more leading up to the release of it. It is fantastic. You guys are in for a treat. I can see this. Heck, I'm just going to go ahead and say this is probably one of my most anticipated releases of 2025. Despite the fact that I've already read it, I can't wait to actually hold this masterpiece in my hands. Then one that is out, but I don't own a physical copy yet, is Past 3 O'Clock by Richie Joyce. And this is just a short little, it's either a short novel or a novella, but this was phenomenal. This was a kind of Dickensian style ghost story that basically our main character is not alive for the majority of the book. And this is a Christmas style story, but it deals with, like, you know, what happens in the afterlife and how do you deal with your afterlife? How do you come to accept that you are no longer among the living, that you felt like you had work undone, you had things you still wanted to do, people you wanted to connect with, and it's brilliant, and I loved this. It deals with unrequited love, the stages of grief and acceptance. It was fantastic. And of course, if these books are available, I will have them linked in the description box down below. Side note, these are affiliate links. I am a brand new Amazon affiliate. It's no additional cost to you. It just kind of gives me a little bit of a kickback. So if you want to check out those links, they will be in the description box down below. But yes, Past 3 O'Clock by Richie Joyce. Fantastic Christmas story if you want to look for something a little bit more Dickensian. I loved this. And then on to the physical books. Now we've got Bernard Cornwell's The Last Kingdom. This is book 1 in the Saxon, I think it's the Saxon Saga. I loved this. This had such a wry humor to it, despite the fact that it deals with like a really dark moments. This is battle, this is conquest. These are the Danes coming into England and just wrecking stuff. And I loved Uhtred. I didn't think I was going to like this because I liked the Warlord Chronicles. I really liked the Warlord Chronicles by this author. And I was kind of warned off of the Grab Quest, so I kind of got rid of those books before I even cracked the page. Like, everyone was just like, don't read those. And then I tried Sharp. Sharp didn't work for me. And so I was just like, oh man, like I've got these on my shelf. Are these going to work for me? And the answer is yes. These are astounding. I really, really enjoyed The Last Kingdom with Uhtred, Ragnar. Like, Ragnar is like, it's the father figure that just shouldn't work, and yet it does. It's fantastic. I loved this, and I can't wait to see what the rest of the series has in store for Uhtred, son of Uhtred, Lord of Bebbanburg. Fantastic stuff. And then I'm kind of shocked that this made this list, But at the same time, I'm not, because this book has just had me chomping at the bit to read the next book in the series. This is book number 5 in Matthew Corbett, and this is The River of Souls by Robert McCammon. It's a very simple premise. Essentially, we have some runaway slaves who have supposedly killed a woman, and basically Matthew doesn't think they did it, and he goes out on this hunt with a new friend, and things ensue. It's one of the shorter Matthew Corbett novels, and it's also a setup novel for the, I believe, the rest of the series to kind of launch into where Matthew Corbett is going. But man, this book was just like, by the end I was like, that's amazing. And I've been wanting to chomp at the bit for Freedom of the Mask for so long now that like it's on my January TBR. And this has been absolutely fantastic. I didn't think I was going to like Magnus Muldoon, who is the aforementioned friend of Matthew Corbett, and yet Magnus is fantastic. I love Magnus, even though he's kind of rough and tumble. He's just, I don't know, he's such a good friend to Matthew by the end, and I loved this book. This was really, really good. This should surprise nobody that I have got a J.C.M. Byrne Hybrid Helix book in my hand. This is turn 5, or book number 5. Here we see Rowan kind of launching. This is almost like the closing of an arc in Hybrid Helix, and then we're going to kind of launch into book 6 with Rowan doing other things other than just being a toe chief for Wistful. And I think that's really interesting. We kind of explore the wormholes a little bit. We explore other like deeper lore in the universe that J.C.M. Byrne has been setting up. I really enjoyed this. And yeah, I mean, it's book 5. I can't tell you too much of what's going on, but I think this might have been my favorite so far. And I'm very excited to see what the rest of the series has in store, or at least next arc has in store for me. Sorry, kind of tripped over my words there. And then we've got another cosmic horror style. We've got Kagan the Damned by Jonathan Mayberry. Now, I didn't like the sequel as much, but this one is still really, really good. I really loved... There's a kind of melodrama with the main character, Kagan, that the characters in story call him out for. And instead of like leaning into that melodrama, it's just like, they're like, hey, you're being kind of dumb. And like Kagan's like, no, and they're like, yeah, that was dumb. Don't do that again. And I don't know, I loved how like self-aware, the characters felt real, because like I feel like that's something that a real person would do. Instead of let somebody continue to be melodramatic, a lot of people will just call Kagan out on it. It's got awesome battle. I've been informed that this is supposed to be a grimdark novel. I don't remember particularly it being grimdark. Now, don't get me wrong. There is some really messed up stuff, but it is also like a horror novel. It's got kind of nods to the Joe Ledger series. It's got cosmic horror, Lovecraftian cosmic horror in there and stuff like that. But, I mean, overall, I just really enjoyed this. Don't get me wrong, it's got some brutal stuff. The Witch King of Hakia is a very evil man. But at the same time, he's a very compelling villain. And I love the twists, I love the turns, and I love this book. So, yeah, it makes my top 10 of the quarter. And then what can I say? I've been talking about this for a while now. We've got Lily Ann Crow's Dreams of Dust. This is Will the Wayfinder, book number 1. I really need to read book number 2. I've just been bouncing all over the place constantly, and this needs to be a priority series for me, because frankly, like, is it Thaniel? Yeah, Thaniel's the main character here. He's this young boy who takes on this job of, like, he's a cartographer, and he joins up with this kind of legendary mercenary group to go and solve or find this missing town of people, and then it leads into this epic adventure with nature spirits and crystal magic. This was just refreshing quest-based fantasy done right. It was fantastic, and frankly, I think this is a must-read indie fantasy, and Lily Ann Crow is highly underrated. So yes, check this one out. Fantastic. I loved the kind of group dynamics. I loved Thaniel discovering his magic, and I loved just... I pretty much loved everything about this. It can get a little jumpy or a little choppy, but at the same time, it's so incredibly good. I really enjoyed Lily Ann Crow's Will of the Wayfinder, Dust of Dreams, book number 1. Very good. It's got nightmare dream sequences. It's my thing. And then, of course, I've got the Amityville Horror here. Such a good haunted house story. It's classic. I don't know if I need to sell you on this one, because it's been out for, I don't know, 45, 50 years. But man, it's the kind of haunted house story I like. It's got some jump scares on it, but mainly it's that sense of menace. If you ignore the, like, it's supposedly based on a true story, I don't care about that. But, I mean, like, just the way that this house kind of menaces the Lutz family. I really, really enjoyed what this book had to offer. So much so that I bought a special edition of it. Fantastic. Fantastic. And then, of course, one of my favorite collections that I've read recently is Stephen King's Just After Sunset. This is a collection that most people don't really talk about because this is the first collection that came out after a while. King even said in the foreword, I'd kind of forgotten how to do short style fiction, and he had to kind of relearn how to do it so that he could write this collection. A lot of this is new stuff, other than like a few kind of like The Cat That Wouldn't Die or something like that. What's it called? I don't know. The name of the story is it's The Cat from Hell. Cat from Hell. Other than The Cat from Hell, like a lot of this is just new stuff. Like the New York Times at special bargain rates. That's a silly name for a story, but at the same time, it's again like a ghost story, and it's there's actually a lot of ghost stories in here. Willow's a ghost story. The New York Times at special bargain rates is a ghost story. I don't know. I really, really enjoy this. One side note I will say is the audiobook. The stories are out of order than what they're printed in the book, and I thought that was interesting. But yeah, very good. There's a lot of great kind of stories in here. They don't lean super heavy into the horror, although The Cat from Hell does. That was a spooky book that made me want to kick my cat right out of my house because no thank you. I didn't. She's still here. But yeah, that was a mean cat, and it was indeed from hell. But a very good collection there. And then, of course, my book of the quarter. I think this is safe to say that this is my book of the quarter. That's The Tomb by F. Paul Wilson. This is book number 2 in the Adversary Cycle, and this is also book number 1 in the Repairman Jack series. And just reading this book alone has added 15 plus 5 plus 4. 15 plus 4, so 19. This has already added 20 books to my TBR. I'm including Blackwind by F. Paul Wilson, which I haven't read yet, even though I keep meaning to. This is fantastic. This kind of took me back to my childhood, and it reminded me of like Relic by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child, which was a fantastic series that I absolutely loved reading right up until about book 7. The Pendergast novels are just really, really good. And then they get kind of long in the tooth. I wish they did in that series. I'm rambling. But basically, we've got Jack, who's just a fixer. He doesn't have a social security number. He doesn't have a bank account. His fingerprints aren't on file. He's made sure to remove himself from pretty much any digital repository of knowledge that he possibly can. He wants to live off the grid by his own means. He kind of deals in gold and cougarans and stuff like that. And, his girlfriend finds out what he does, and she leaves him. But then she comes to him with, hey, I've had some family members who have gone missing. And he goes on this mission to try and find these family members. He then gets hired for various other jobs. There is a supernatural element here that he's kind of unprepared to deal with. But because he's Repairman Jack, he finds a way to deal with it. Fantastic. And I just can't wait to get into more of this. Oh, there's also a trilogy of Young Repairman Jack, which I want to read. So 23 books. This has added 23 books to my overall lifetime TBR, and I'm here for it. I'm all in on F. Paul Wilson. I'm very excited to read a lot more from this author. But guys, this is my top 10 Q4 list. Not my top 10 of 2024. This is just Q4. But let me know in the comments down below what your top 10 of the last quarter are. Not the year, just the quarter from October to December. Let me know in the comments down below, and hopefully you guys can recommend me some amazing books. But that's all I've got for you today, guys, so till next time, peace out, stay magical, bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons. Thank you for supporting my passion and my hobby. It means the world to me.